Howdy doody. Welcome to another episode of To the Moon. Yeah, this is an extremely special episode for me because in today's episode, we have the one, the only Brittany Berryman. And a lot of you will probably recognize her from the numerous challenges that I've been doing. If you're an Astroflipping student, then you are familiar with Brittany because she is a star. And if you are just getting to know Brittany for the first time today, you are in for a treat because Brittany Berryman is a phenomenal human being. She's a phenomenal real estate investor. She is a mom. She is a wife. She is a badass. She is a crossfitter. She is a hundred more than I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of deals she's done. She still has a flipping W-2 job, guys. Like I'm telling you, if you are in life right now feeling like you're not doing enough, then don't listen to the rest of this episode because this woman will absolutely put you to shame. If you have laziness in your life, turn us off right now because this person is going to make you feel super lazy. She's probably one of the only people who can make me feel like I'm not doing enough. Because she's just so phenomenal with her time management and her capacity to understand and put into application things that she learns at the highest level. Give it up for the one and the only, my very special friend, Brittany Berryman. Brittany, welcome to the Moon. When I first met you, I was certain that we were going to do this, that this was going to be a thing. You would be on a To the Moon. And, you know, these podcasts are special because not only do my followers on YouTube watch this, but the entire podcast community of Wholesale Hotline gets to listen to this as well. So thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to get to know you, Brittany Berryman, who is just an incredibly, incredibly amazing woman. Brittany, you are so multifaceted. You're doing so much in life. And of course, we're going to get into the business and we're going to get into all of your success as a real estate investor. But tell us a little bit about you because you are different. You're different. You're cut from a different kind of cloth. And I want the audience to get an understanding of what makes Brittany Brittany.
Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. You know, it's phenomenal. Like this whole journey has been phenomenal. When I think back and I look back, it's you realize what your life has brought you to. You realize everything that's happened previously before leads up to every moment that's happening in your life. Right. Thank you. And what makes me, I don't know. My husband says, he used to tell me everything that I touch turns to gold. Actually, still says that. But I just have this thing, like I can't stop. Like I'm driven. Not even say it's a cliche to say I'm driven by success, but you know, you take those disc profiles and things like that. It's tenacity and drive. I mean, I think everything that I do in life is almost a competition, not with others, but with myself. And, right. You know, that's why I thrive off of, you know, CrossFit. That's the thing that's my love. That's my passion. It's for 8-9 years now, I'm constantly competing to be better and be better and be better, in business and in life. I think, you know, early on, it was like I had to prove myself to someone else, but now it's not about proving myself to others. It's continuously growing and proving that I can do better, because your human mind, your human body has a limit until you exceed that limit. And I'm going to try not to use CrossFit metaphors a lot, but you know,
no, I think it's totally applicable because I was watching the movie The Alpinist. I don't know if you've watched it at all, but I got a recommendation from Michelle Garabito and Paul Nelson to watch the movie, and I watched it last night, and it was a lot about pushing ourselves to different levels of or new mental positions, right? Because back in the day, they didn't believe that a human being could run a 4-minute mile. Like that was just an impossibility. And in fact, there were medical physicians at the time who said if you attempted to run a 4-minute mile, your lungs would explode and you would die. Right.
Yeah.
And so they just thought physically it was impossible for a human being to do this. And then now, I mean, there are people running 4-minute miles all over the place. There's a guy on my street who runs a 4-minute mile. Right. So it's not a special thing anymore. It's a thing now that we've hit that limit and we've said this is BS. Now we can get there. When I was watching this guy scale these ice mountains, right? I thought, how not even a mountain goat can get their butt up there. And here we are as human beings with these little tools, finding our way up these full 90-degree mountain faces and summiting these incredible heights. And it's really about the mental fortitude and the heart to push through and get there, right? And so I think CrossFit is totally applicable in this, because
absolutely,
that's when I've never done CrossFit. I did HIIT, right? And there's similarities and then there's not similarities, because in HIIT you're not benching crazy weights or anything like that, but you're going, pushing tires, throwing tires, and flipping bodies or whatever. A lot like what happens in CrossFit. And when I first did it, I was like, this is gonna kill me. Like I don't think that this is.
But you think that in work too. You're like, this is gonna kill me. If I keep doing this, this is gonna kill me.
Yep.
Well, does it? No. I have a shirt that says, "But you didn't die though." Or did you die? No, you don't die. You just get better.
Right. But like when you push yourself to that point, not even of like being close to death, but when you push yourself to that point beyond where you thought you could go, and that's the key. Mm-hmm. It's pushing yourself to the place that is beyond where you thought you could go. Your own limit, whatever limit you've placed for yourself, when you cross that barrier and you enter into a new world, you enter into a new idea, a new energy.
Yes.
So you do this physically all the time. Yeah. And does that help you? Did that help you gain success as a real estate investor because you 100%. Just knew that mental limits were BS?
Yeah, I mean, they are, because, 8 years ago, when I first started, things like CrossFit, it's like I couldn't do a single pull-up, but someone told me, okay, if you do this, and this, trust the process, you'll be able to do a single pull-up. Well, now I can do 100 in a workout. Same thing when I joined, the Astro community. I remember speaking on the phone and I said, I don't know what the limits are, but I need you to tell me, what I need to do. And he said, well, you need to do this, and this. I'm like, okay, I'm a process person. So if you tell me this is the process, I'm not going to deviate out the process, because the process is what works and it's proven. So why do I need to reinvent the wheel of what's been proven to find success? If I see hundreds and thousands of people have found success with this process, then follow the process. So whether it's, physical and working out, or whether it's, in real estate, there's a process that people are following. And if those are the people who are successful and wealthy, and, not even just wealth monetary wise, but wealthy in life, you stick with that process. I see so many people will deviate, or they give up so soon. They spend 10, 20 years with a certain mental limit, and they think in 5 days, everything's going to change. No, you've built that mental stamina of, I hate to say failure or fear or not being successful in what you do for 10, 20, 30 years. That's not going to change in 5 days. So why don't you give that same effort, towards something new? I tell my kids and all the time, I said, what you repeatedly do is the results of where you are right now. So it's not anyone else's fault. And I fail at things all the time in every area, but when I fail, there's a reason why I failed. So I have to go back to the drawing board. Okay, what do I need to do to figure out so that I don't fail again? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? Who do I need to talk to? And that's it. I hate to make it sound so simple, but it is as simple as that.
It really is, because if you think about it, you've got so much going on in life, right? Because you work a full-time job, you work a W-2 job, and you do really well in your W-2 job. Are you okay to just share a little bit? I don't want to get into the weeds with like, you know, what's your job, how much you make, da, da, da. But you make enough money in your W-2 job not to even think of a side hustle, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So I've been in my W-2 job for 12 years. I'm a director of marketing. And you know, part of what makes me who I am as a real estate investor, I have to give credit to this company, this job, and the industry that I work in. I work in an industry where I work with the majority of the individuals are seasoned veterans in pharmaceuticals and engineering, and so I work with a specific demographic. I mean, it's you see me on screen. I'm I'm young. I think I'm young still. But, you know, Black female.
Young.
I'm a young Black female, and I've worked in an industry for 12 years where the majority of the demographic is middle-aged or older white males. And so I never saw myself hindered by who I am. Right. Like, never. If I want to be somewhere and go somewhere, it is my responsibility. I may have to work harder. Okay, fine. It is what it is. So that job, because I've been there for 12 years, I do marketing. I'm a director of marketing. I have a leadership position there. So, I mean, you go to the website, I'm on the website. So yes, I mean, I'm working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and people rely on what I do. I am in marketing, being the director of marketing for a company that's global. I have to put time and energy into it. I'm the face of the company. What I do and what I set my team up to do leads to the sales, which leads to revenue, which leads to company success. So I can't take my foot off the brakes, even when doing, you know, this side hustle.
Right. So, and it is a side hustle because I know it as a side hustle for you because I've become a friend of yours. I've looked at your life and I see how much you do put into your W-2 job, and you give your all. You give 100% of your all to your W-2, and you focus and you dedicate everything that they require from you and more, right? And then on top of that, you are a mom and a wife, right? And so you give everything that you can and need to and are required to, plus more, to your family, right? You've got a son who is a Hollywood actor. You've got a husband, and you've got other children. Tell us about family life. Like, that's a job in itself. Like, what's happening there?
Yeah. So outside of, you know, so I work my W-2, you know, work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's there. And I have 2 boys. Aiden is 15 and Johnny is 12. Aiden is an athlete. He is a phenomenal football player. Right. Yeah. And so, you know, he has something every single day after school, every single day of the week, on weekends. And then I have my son, Johnny, who is an actor. You know, Google Johnny Berryman, you'll see his name pop up. And what's
the latest thing he's been in?
So he actually, I think the show airs this week. If it hasn't, you know, he does so much. Like, you know, when he first started, we're like, oh, his show's airing, but now it's like, oh, did that episode air that he's in? So Fairly Odd Parents they did I don't know if you remember the cartoon. I don't know if your daughter's ever into, I think it was Cartoon Network, but they now have a live version of it on Paramount. And so he is in Fairly Odd Parents, that new TV show. And
is he a recurring character over there?
No, that one he is a co-star. So
awesome.
He's in a couple of actually horror movies. One that's on Netflix called Countdown.
Wow.
He's already dead. Oh.
Okay.
He's the haunting demon.
Even spookier.
He's haunting his brother.
Wow. Okay.
It was out at theaters. It's not like one of those little low budget horror movies. It was actually at theaters and everything.
And so he's like the hunter. He's like he's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
I love it.
Yeah,
that takes a lot. You know, I'm in production myself. I'm on a TV show, and I can tell you, it's a pain in the butt. It's a lot of work. You know, it's highly fulfilling and amazing, but it's also just tremendously taxing on you. Yeah,
absolutely. And he's taught me a lot. He's been doing this since he was 6. He's 12 now. And when you talk about a 6-year-old going through rejection and having to hear a ton of no's, I mean, if you're in the real estate industry, you're going to hear rejection and a ton of no's. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, early on when, you know, I first started doing this was, you know, if he could get through it, if he could hear the no's, he bounces back. He goes right back to it. He's never quit. He's never said, I'm done. 6 years of it. I mean, come on. Like, what example am I setting for him if I just, throw in the towel after a month or a week or a few days? So that's a whole nother job, helping a 12-year-old memorize script and doing, now Hollywood is all about self-taping. So we're not taking them to the casting office anymore. We have to tape it, send it in, get them all set up. And then I have a phenomenal husband. So my husband and I have been married for going on 16 years now. And he's great. He supports everything I do.
He's a very supportive man, right? Like, he's the kind of person that says, Brittany, you can do everything. And when you want to add something, because let's just face it, right? A lot of us are in marriages, and if I have a very supportive wife, right? If I didn't have a supportive wife, there's no chance that I would be where I am in my life. Every time I add something to my life, she's not like, Jamil, why are you adding more? It's less time with me. I don't get that. I get, yes, honey, anything and everything that is required from you to get where you're going, to do what you need to do, because this is your trip and I'm here with you. Like, yeah. I get that from her. I get so much support, so much love from my wife. And I just, I can't stress enough how important that is to have somebody like that in your life. You've got that. You've got that.
Absolutely. Anything I ever think of and do, he just do it, without hesitation, without like.
And he did the same. He said the same thing about joining Astro, didn't he?
He did. I was like, I'm like, yeah. He's like, why not? Do it. Go for it. Like, there was no question in his mind, because I think when he knows that if I'm thinking about something, he knows I'm going to be successful at it. He just needs to like push me to do it, and I need that confirmation. So he gives me that confirmation, and I do it. And there has not been, and it takes a lot of time out of your day. There's sometimes you get so soaked into the rhythm of things that, before you know it, it's 8:00 at night and, there's no dinner. Well, he'll jump in and make dinner. Or, he's never complained where he's, well, you're spending too much time here. No, it's always, go forward. How can I help? What can I do? Now, he really does want to help, but I'm like, this is my baby.
Well, you don't get husband. He doesn't sulk around like, Brittany doesn't want to cook dinner for me, so I'm going to be sulking now. No, you don't get sulky husband.
No,
incredible.
He's a man. He does so much, and I'm so thankful for him. And then he knows when I need a break. He knows when I just need to get away, and he'll say, hey, you want to go for a walk? He'll pull me away from the computer, and we do it. So that is life. It's
well, that's not done yet, because on top of that, how much do you bench? Can you share with us how much you bench?
So
max.
So I spend probably 2.5 hours at the gym daily. I rest on Thursdays and Sundays. I just finished, CrossFit has a full season. You have the open, and if you place within the top 10% in the entire in your country, so I placed in the top 10% of the United States, actually the North America region. So that's Canada, United States, and Mexico. So I placed top 10%, and that transitioned me to go into, if you do that, you make it to the quarterfinals. And then, so I did the quarterfinals, and if you make it, I think it's like the top 20 go to semifinals, and you go to the CrossFit Games. But so I did max out my bench press at 192 pounds.
What? I can't bench that much weight. Brittany, come on, man. What's happening here? You're making me feel
I maxed my clean at 202 pounds. And wow. Yeah, and it's cool. I told you my 15-year-old, he's an athlete. He's a football player. And so he's starting to pass me up in the weights, but I'm trying to stay there with him. Like, if he can get just outside the range, but eventually he really should be well ahead of his mom once he, all that testosterone kicks in. So, but I think I still have him on the cleans, maybe squat. No, he passed.
I love that you two are like, you guys are competing against each other with like how much you can clean and jerk, right? Like, this is like, I'm impressed. Like, guys, this is, I want to just add this up for people, right? Because there's people out there who are like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to live out my dreams. I don't have the time to have a side hustle. I don't have the time to gain financial freedom. I don't have the time to take my kids to become a famous actor. I don't have the time to help my son become a football star. I don't have the time to be a wife. I don't have the time to work a full-time job as a marketing director. I don't have the time to cook my family dinner. I don't have the time to do all these things. I don't have the time to work out 2 to 3 hours a day on top of all that. Guys, are you adding all this up?
Yeah.
And now we're going to get to why she's here. Okay, so all of those things we just talked about before, that's before this. That's before Astro. Okay? She lives a full, rich, beautiful, wonderful, amazing, fulfilling, and financially stable life before Astro. So some crazy idea, maybe one of my ads, God knows what. What made you think I need to add on being a real estate investor, and how did that even happen when you've got so much already going on?
I love sharing this story. So my family and I, we didn't talk about this, but briefly, we moved to California 6 years ago from Texas. And that was all for my son's pursuit in Hollywood. You know, we left everything behind, packed. This is just to tell you the type of people we are. We packed everything. We're all in, packed everything up, left everything behind in Texas, moved to California 100%. California is not a cheap place to live.
No, I live there. I live there half time, so it's crazy.
And so, you know, over our first year here, I think I cried almost every night. My job salary didn't change because, you know, my company was like, well, you're moving to California for your own benefit, but we'll let you work from home. And so trying to keep up with, I mean, it was hard our first year. My husband, I think our first year here was Ubering. I mean, just to tell you the position we were in, it was scraping pennies. Fast forward a few years.
Where are you living? In Burbank?
We live in Burbank, yes. Burbank.
Yeah, and so, like, guys, just to give you guys an understanding of the cost of living out there, I mean, your gas is practically double of what it is across the nation.
$6.70, yes.
$6.70 a gallon right now. You know, your average 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in LA is $2,000, and you live in a family house in Burbank. So it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars every single month. And then she's got to drive. And when you're driving, you're going to auditions or you're doing this or that, it's like 2 hours anywhere you want to go in LA, right? It's a lot of time. It's a lot of gas. It's not easy. Like, it's not an easy life out there. That's why you see so many crazy people in Los Angeles, because that place will make you freaking crazy.
It will. It will. Like I said, I think I cried every night, you know, our first year here. But fast forward a few years, you know, God is good and things started happening for us. So in 2020, we actually moved to the home that we're in now. And we're like, you know, we're kind of settling here. This is nice. And, you know, our boys had their own spaces. And this is like perfect home to live in Burbank. And then I'm sure my husband won't mind me sharing this. He was working for a company. And this is 2020. And we just moved into this home. And I believe this is towards the end of 2020, he was let go from his job. And he left his job. And so in my mind, he didn't freak out, of course, because he's him. He never freaks out. He's like the forever optimist. But I knew inside, something's, churning. And I remember thinking, okay, we can't rely I don't want to ever be in a position where we rely so much on our jobs. Like, something can happen with my job, company shuts down, or something happens and poof, your income can be gone in that.
Right.
So December of 2020, I set out a mission, and I was like, I want to invest in real estate. So I started adding up how many residential doors would I have to replace my W-2 job.
Smart, very smart.
So I think it came up to, like, just for me, I was like 25 to 30 doors to replace, because rental income cash flow is like maybe $500. So you multiply that. So and then I calculate how much would it take to get my, for my husband, for both of us to replace our jobs to have.
Yeah, you guys want to make like $15,000 a month,
right?
And that's a decent, comfortable life, right? Like, yes.
So again, this is like December 2020. And so I was like, I'm going to buy my first rental property, and started looking. You met my agent friend, and that's where I found him. JP, shout out to JP.
What's up?
He, he found us our first rental property, and we closed on that in March of 2021. And so I even beginning of January, and I even have proof because I wrote this down. I have this notebook next to me because I want people to believe this timeline. January 17th of 2021, I was listening to, we're a Christian-based family. I was listening to a message, and it was talking about getting anchored, and it was talking about being anchored in, the word of God. And, so many of us stay in the shallow end of the water, but, you don't need an anchor until you're in the deep. And it's alone. You're alone when you're in the deep water. So, if you want to move forward, you have to go to the deep where you have your anchor. And who's your anchor?
God.
God's your anchor. You don't need an anchor in the shallow. You need an anchor when you're in the deep. And the deep is where everything happens. And so it's funny, when he was speaking that message, I looked down and I was wearing a necklace a friend of mine bought me that had an anchor on it.
God is so good. It's like, and it's impossible. If you're looking for God in your life, it's impossible not to find, but it's anyways.
And so during that same time, I was reading a book called Atomic Habits, and it was, it talks about who do you wish to become? And your identity is formed by every choice that you make. So your identity, if you say, well, I am a runner. Okay, so you're a runner. You're saying you're a runner. When you have the choice to go outside and run that 2-mile run that you need to do, or you want to sit and watch Netflix, the choice that you make there, that's your identity.
You are.
If you say you're a football player and you are hanging out and smoking with your friends versus on the field practicing reps, you just shaped your identity. So my identity, I literally wrote I'm going to show you this. It says, who do I want to become? I don't know if you see that.
We can't read, but yes, now we can.
But highlighted there, it says an investor in real estate. This was January 18, 2021.
Okay.
When
did you join Astro, by the way?
May 2021.
Okay, so
I had no idea Astro existed at this
point.
I
had no idea. Okay, great. Keep going.
So, I started shaping my identity. Okay, if I want to be a real estate investor, I need to start taking actions towards it. So in March of 2021, we purchased our first rental property. It's awesome. Did that 20% down, got our first rental property, put it on the market on a Wednesday. Lease was signed on Thursday morning.
Amazing.
Awesome. Let's do it again.
Yes.
Okay, I need another 20% down.
Right. Gotta save up some more ducats to do that.
And so then I start listening to these Bigger Pockets podcasts and episodes, and I'm hearing these people, talk about different ways they find rental properties. And I have a good friend. She's actually my workout partner. She's literally the one that gets me going to the gym. I think we get each other going to the gym, but her name's Jill, and she was like, hey, you need to listen to this podcast. And it was about this. It was a Bigger Pockets podcast, and it was this couple who had, gone from sleeping on a couch to wholesaling and making tens of thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, hold on, wait. And I listened to, I'm like, wait. If they can do that, I can do it. Right. So I'm Googling and, trying to figure out, okay, how do you wholesale? Or, how do you do all this? And what do I need to do? And, when you start Googling stuff, it starts popping up on your feed and get all the stuff. So the only thing I could find, I found, mind you, I told you I'm a process person. So there were steps, do step 1, step 2, step 3, do this, that, and that. So I started doing that. Started cold calling. And you'll probably remember the first deal I brought to you was from a cold call. It's horrible. I knew that I could do it. I just didn't know how. And so that same pastor that spoke that message about anchoring, there was a message. It was May 13th. And the message was doing the upgrade, finding the thing that you need to do and how to do it. And so I wrote in my journal a question. I'm actually going to say, so the question was the goal with real estate. How do I get there? Focus on the strategies of real estate. And I had the question, it says, the Bible gives you the general will for your life. The Holy Spirit gives you the instructions. Okay. That was written down. The very next passage in my journal is wholesales and real estate, Astro. So the day before, the message to me was, you need to find the right path and the right instruction. The day after, there was an ad on Facebook, I guess from my Google searches, where I saw you, and it led me to Astro. And that day, May 14th, 2021, mind you, this is this journey from January to May. I found Astro, I signed up, and the rest is history.
So that's like, you know, May 14th is 2 days before my mom's birthday. My mom is May 16th. Shout out, mom. I love you.
Happy birthday, Mom.
So yeah, it's an interesting time of year. You know, it's right, you know, a couple months after you start your real estate journey, and you're a process person, like you said. So you start doing the things, right? You start listening to podcasts. Your friends are telling you, because you're talking about what you want to do. You're owning that this is what you're trying to accomplish, is what you're trying to do. Your goal was, I want to replace my income. I never want to be worried that somebody can fire me and then I don't have enough money to survive and take care of my family. You're a provider. You are the epitome. You are the example of what it means to make sure that you're going to be okay and that your people are going to be okay. And that's what you were stepping towards. You then learn that you need an anchor because you're going to go into the deep, and now you're looking for instruction, and this blue genie pops up.
This blue genie pops up. He's like, it was a genie. Yeah. It was like, your wish is to do this. Your wish is my command.
It's so corny that it's like, I you know, Bobby Two Hands, my videographer who made that ad with me. He's in my kitchen right now, and he's joined my team full time. And we were talking, you know, I said, you know, Bobby, without you, there's no genie, right? Because he helped me make that happen. And I said, look at our lives, you know, so many people were blessed from that corny ad, from that, just that, you know, craziness that you and I did there. And we thought, will this work? Is this ever going to work? Like, will anyone ever click on this and not think I'm just a total tool? And will only tools click on this, and then I'm just going to have a mentorship full of like crazy people, right? But no, this marketing director from this great company who makes, you know, a ton of money already, who is an incredibly successful and established woman, has found that ad appealing and clicked on it, and so there you are. So you start Astro May 14th of 2021. You said the rest is history. Walk us through history.
Well, and I kind of want to, you know, rewind just a tad bit because of the reasoning. It wasn't, you asked me, was it, you know, I have a good paying job. My husband, thankfully, immediately after he left the other job, got another job back. He actually bought himself a reward for his next job before he even got the next job. That's the kind of thought that a watch comes in the mail. I was like, why do you have a watch? He goes, because it's my reward for the job I'm about to get.
There you go.
And then he gets the job, I think that evening or the very next day. Okay. But you asked me like why this was so important to me. I come from a family. I was raised by a single mom. So just, you know, everybody out there, you know, nothing is ever handed to me. Right. You know, my mom raised me alone. My parents separated when I was 2 years old. And I remember growing up, we always lived in a small apartment. We lived in like one of those efficiency studios where like it's all just kind of one room. My mom has never owned a home, and she actually ended up having to move back home to Illinois. And I remember, like, I know her struggle. Like, I know she will have to work every day for the rest of her life. My mom is 65, maybe 66. She doesn't have retirement. And I told myself, like, that will not be me at all. And that will not be my kids. That will not be my children's children. So that's why this was so important to me. It was more than just, you know, the risk of, you know, losing a job. But no, this is for a legacy. This has to start a different mindset. This has to start a different path for our family. It's not about, yeah, you can go to college, and I'd support going to college. My older son wants to be an engineer if he's not a football player. Johnny says he's going to be an actor. He's not going to college. Fine, great. But the world is different. And I went to school to be first a vet and then a dental hygienist, and then none of that happened. And so it's to train. I want to train my kids and our children's children for something different.
Right.
I'm changing the trajectory of our family, my husband and I both. So that's why that was so important for me to get into this, to start investing in real estate. It wasn't just about the money. It's the legacy that we're gonna leave for them.
And the security, right? The security for yourself, the security for them, because it's hard. It's hard to watch mom, I bet, right now. And so is she still working? Are you still working?
She still works, and she has to. She absolutely has to. There's no retirement. There's nothing put aside. Owning a home, I don't think will ever happen for her. But she's comfortable. Like, I think she got to the point where she was comfortable. And I have an aunt who's been a mentor to me. She's a house flipper, and she kind of set that. I have great people in my life. I mean, my mom's a great person, but as far as the people who did show me that there was a different way, because that's all I saw. All I saw was my mom, and I think
right.
The other people, I have an aunt and uncle, and then another aunt who saw something different in me, and they kind of took me under their wings and said, "No, this is what's possible for you." And so I'm very blessed to have those people in my life, and I'm very blessed to be surrounded by others who I've met along this path, who speak life into what John and I do. So,
but now, right? We're in May 2021. You get started in Astroflipping.
So get started in Astroflipping May 2021.
Do you suck at it? Does it just fall? Does it fall all apart? Do you realize that you should have never clicked on the link with the blue man, or what happens?
I could not put the courses down. I remember I'm sitting in the mirror curling my hair and going through the modules, and driving down the road going through the modules. I couldn't put the courses down, and I'm an action taker. And so I think I was partly through week one. I finished week one. Once I got into week two, I'm like, okay, it's time to go. Started taking action. It wasn't a wait and consume content, because you can consume content all day long. All day long. And do nothing.
And stop yourself from anything ever happening, because all you're doing is
paralysis. Yeah. There's always the what ifs. Okay, so what if? And my thing is, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
So I started every note, I printed out every note, but I started taking the actions. What they will say, hey, you need to call 5 hard money lenders. I called 5 hard money lenders. I didn't know what a hard money lender was at that point, and now I use them.
Yeah.
Title company. I didn't know. The only time I sat in front, I told you, my mom never owned a home, and John and I, the first home that we bought together was the rental property. So that's the only time I'd actually seen title happen. So took action, and me taking action, I started calling, and I didn't know there was a name. We didn't name it agent outreach at that time, or I don't think I'd gotten that far in the course, even know what it was. But I was like, I have connections in real estate. I need to use those connections. I have relationships. So I sent 2 realtors a text message. One is I call him my JP. And the other was another agent. It was just simple. Just keep it simple. It was, do you have any homes that that are off the market and that you think someone might want to get rid of? I didn't know the phrase to put out there, but I was like, hey, they'll know what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be perfect. This starts the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, I have one.
Just so happens I do.
Yeah, I do.
How did you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'll send it over to you. He sends it over to me. Mind you, I'm still in week 2. I don't know any paperwork that needs to be done. I actually had to send an email saying, hey, can you unlock week 3 for me? Because so thankful for this community, because every step of the way I had to get, okay, what do I do here? What do I do there? And I wasn't scared. That's the funny thing. I wasn't scared. I kind of felt like I came in with confidence, like, hey, because he didn't know at the time that I was wholesaling. But actually, in my mind, because I bought, a rental property, I was like, this could be mine as a rental property. So in my mind, I was coming in as a buyer,
right.
But likely not, of course.
Yeah,
But so
you didn't know your exit strategy for certain. You could have made the decision to keep it. It could have happened. Could have given it to your aunt, who God knows what you could have done with it. But you wanted to evaluate it for its efficacy, for its
yes.
merits. Yes.
And so, yeah, I came in with confidence. I said, this is what this is what I think he gave me a number, and I was like, nope, this is my offer. And this is the reason why. I laid it all out, told the guy, and the guy was like, okay, sure. And I even negotiated, some foundation stuff. I was like, we'll take another, and it was fair, because that's the thing that I always made sure. I was like, I want to make sure it's fair. And so the agent that I was working with, I was like, bring this to him. I want to make sure it works on all sides. And so got the deal under contract. Mind you, I live in California, and the terminology I wasn't familiar with at this point. So I had a buyer send me a message saying,
and the deal was not in California.
No, this deal is not in California. So that's another thing. I live in California, and everything I do is in Texas.
So you're working totally virtually.
Totally virtually, relying 100% on my knowledge of the area. And that was one key thing to me, was starting in an area and a market that I was very familiar with. I was very familiar with this market.
All the time. Know where you're going to work. Yeah.
Yes. I knew where every side street was. I knew the neighborhood. I didn't have to be there, but I know it, and I know people there. Mm-hmm. So when I needed pictures, or when the buyer showed up, and actually the agent, again, so he ended up knowing what I was doing with the property. Mine, I didn't know. So I put it on Facebook, and everyone knows everyone. So he was like, hey, this is ours? I was like, yeah, by the way, this is what I'm going to do. He goes, okay, as long as it's fair. He was fine with it. But I think initially he was going to do intermediary, because in Texas you can represent both as an intermediary. But he was like, this is my first time dealing with an exit strategy like this. So I don't think I want to do an intermediary, but it's still yours. Okay, great. So mind you, I don't know the terminology. So a buyer messaged me. He says, hey, can we meet about the property? I'm very interested. I'm thinking he wants to meet. He wants to call. I was like, yeah, what time? He goes, 10 o'clock. He then calls me that Thursday at 10 o'clock. He goes, I'm here. I was like, you're where? He goes, I'm at the property. I'm like, what? He goes, we're supposed to meet about it. And I'm thinking, I'm used to Zoom meetings, because this is, mind you, COVID, everything was Zoom meetings. This is just 2021, early 2021.
You're like, in person?
We don't meet in person.
You want to meet it? You want to see people? That's danger.
So I'd forgotten about meeting in person. Everything had been Zoom. Thank goodness I called the agent. I'm like, I know you don't represent me, but I need you to do me a huge favor. I have someone there looking at the property for me.
Wow.
Can you go
there? The deal from? Can you go and show my buyer the deal?
Yes. Can you go do it? And he's like, you know what? I shouldn't. But he goes, I can't say anything. I was like, I don't want you to say anything. I don't want you to say anything at all. Just go, let him in. He does it. And then he sells them he talks about how phenomenal the area is. Downtown is this way. Da, 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 da. If you don't get this, if you don't take this deal, I don't know, you're going to miss out on something. He sells the deal for me, right?
Incredible man JP is, right? He's the best.
He is.
I've actually, now that I've gotten to meet him, he's like one of the most gracious, incredible. He's your Monique, right? Like he's Monique
Walker.
He's your guy, and you'll do business with him for the rest of your life. I guarantee it.
I will.
So what happens then? Does he convince them to buy the deal?
Well, yeah. So they come back, they make the offer, and I actually told them, I'm like, nope, too low. Mind you, I'm freaking out, like on the inside, but I'm confident. I was like, nope. I was like, we have interest at a higher price. They come back an additional, I think $8,000 or something. You're like, okay, we'll give you. No, it's an additional $10,000. I was like, okay, good, sold. So the relationship there, that's where that relationship built. And then from there,
how much did you make on your first deal?
My first deal, I made $10,800.
Wow.
The very first deal, and mind you, it was June. It was It was a month. Less than a month, because we closed on June 8th. I'd started Astro on May 4th or May 14th. So, and it was a funky deal at closing because the buyer ended up using a conventional loan. Again, trust in relationships and honesty. I went to the agent, I went to JP and told him, he's like, hey, this is what's happening. Would your seller be willing to pay me out? The seller paid me out of title. that's how, because he was like, you know what? It was fair numbers. For him, it was fair numbers. He got exactly what he wanted. Buyer got what he wanted. Agent got, his commission. Everybody was happy at the end of the day. And so when that went so smoothly, I mean, everything just started trickling in. So when I did that one, it was like, it's a repeatable process. Let's do the next. So immediately after I sold, I think 3 4-plexes. It was a 3 4-plex package. And you remember that one? The lawsuit. And that one. So
that was stressful because I know you were like, oh my God, I'm gonna get sued. Yes. And I was like, Brittany, you're not gonna get sued. Like, let's talk about this. And I kind of gave you my understanding and my knowledge, and I knew they were playing liar's poker with you. And so but that worked out well for you as well.
And it just speaks to the community and who you are. I think I emailed you and you emailed me the next and you're like, just calm down, because I could have stopped at that point. I could have like, nope, this is too scary. But we closed that deal, and that was another, I think it was $24,000. And then it just, again, God just kept
your first month, right? That's still your
that was July. So that was beginning of July.
Okay,
so we're 2 months in. So 2 months in, we're at what? $34,000 total. I remember just adding this stuff up. I'm like, oh my gosh. And those were big numbers for me then. And then fast forward, I'm on set with my son. And I start just sending texts. Again, it's about relationships. And I'm texting people that I know. Hey, do you have any properties? Hey, do you know someone with a property? And then I send someone like, hey, do you know anyone with the property that they're trying to get rid of? She goes, yes, me. I have 34, 38. That was the big package deal. That happened. And
that was an insane amount of money. Amount of money. What did you make? Over $100,000.
I made $112,000 on that one. And that was, again, it was from just sending a text message out of like, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. Do you have anything? And she knew exactly what I was doing. Again, it's transparency and honesty. She even asked me, she goes, how do you get paid? I want to make sure you get paid. And she could have done it, but to sell off each one of those individually, you have to know your sellers. And think in this business, you have to know who you're talking to. You have to know their situation. You have to know why. Some people it's because they're in a distressed situation. Some people it's because they don't have the time. But it's solving their problems. If I can make this easier for her and just selling all of these in one package deal than her having to go and sell these one by one by one by one, you know how much time I just saved her? And for her, it was worth it. Again, transparency and honesty all the way through. And she was like, this is the smoothest transaction I've ever experienced in 30 plus properties. So that happened. And then the success towards the end of the quarter, which, I want to touch on this, but the success towards the end of the quarter, the momentum just started picking up so quickly, quicker than we could handle. So we had to start thinking about tax strategy and tax planning and stuff that we didn't think of like when we first started, because what we started doing was it just exponentially grew, because I could use these stories and tell my sellers and tell my buyers of, okay, this is a situation I just solved and this is what I just done. Once you start doing this business, the proof is in the pudding. It starts, you have stories you can share. You can say, hey, I did this for this seller because they were going through this. I can do the same for you. Or you're not fabricating anything. And people can tell when you're authentic. They can tell 100%. When you're doing something for, and I tell people all the time, I'm not, yes, the money's fine, but if you're not, JP's phrase, he goes, if you walk away from the deal at the end of the day and you both feel like you got screwed, you did it right. He actually tells people that, they're like, okay, good, sign on dotted line. But like at the end of the day, it's you have to, you can't be fake in this business, because I don't care how, I don't care what kind of person you're dealing with. I don't care if it's someone who, low income. I don't care if it's someone, a buyer who's bought millions of properties. They know your reason why. And I try to pull those, those heartstrings sometimes just to find out, okay, why are you doing this? Because we all have a story, right? you know, people don't come in saying they want to sell their house for no reason. People don't, come in wanting to buy for no reason. You got to find the connection. And I'm all about like, it's not just a transaction, but I say that, but sometimes you do have to make it just a transaction when things are starting. You can't get hooked on one deal. When you start
Right.
seeing things, you have to, when you start seeing things start to slip away, or if you're spinning your wheels on one deal, you got to move on. I tell people all the time, they're like, but this, but the agent, but why are you still
Just keep
talking
moving.
about this?
Yeah, who
Keep
cares? Just go,
moving.
go, go. You gotta move, solve the next problem, solve the next problem, solve the next problem, solve the next problem. And then
Yes.
guess what? That problem that you don't have a solution for right now, you'll figure it out. A
Yep.
solution will find you.
Yes.
That's how it works. Sometimes you got to take your eye off of it so that you can actually give yourself enough space to find how to fix it, And so you're 1,000% right. And I can't tell you how often as a coach, I've seen people get stuck.
Yeah.
They get stuck in one deal, and that's the deal that kills them. That's the deal that pushes them out of the business,
It is. It is. And I get it. It's frustrating, but there's 50 billion other deals out there waiting for you to work on. So if this person doesn't want to work with you, guess sometimes they'll come back around. They'll realize they were wrong. So move on.
Crazy. So you had momentum, you got tax planning, you've got, figured out where to hide all your money. What did it look like for the end of the quarter?
So the end of the quarter, by the end of 2021, we finished out at $224,000
Wow.
just in wholesaling.
Did you make much money in your W-2?
Never. Never.
After 12 years of being with that company. Nothing against that company, because I don't know a lot of companies that can pay $250,000 out, like that. It's just so it doesn't exist like that in corporate America. It just doesn't, right? There's just not that kind of money.
Right.
So you make, $224,000, and now, that's the end of 2021. Now we're in 2022. It's April, right? And was that just beginner's luck? Did it all go downhill from there?
Well, so you got to figure out how to scale it, right? So because you can, like I said, it's a busy business. It's active. It's constantly active, and time is of the essence. So every minute counts, every second counts, every day counts, every week counts. So when you're working on one thing, mind you, again, I'm working my W-2 for the,
and you're crossfitting, and you're benching 195, and you've got football, and you've got acting, and and a wife, and all the things. Like, it's just.
But I take ownership of my time, and I think people appreciate that. Some people call me with deals, or and I'm like, I'm at the gym right now. I'll call you in an hour. Like, okay, So I take ownership of my time, but I do know, I'm wise enough to know that being able to scale and add in help where I don't have to tell that person, sorry, I can't answer your phone, or I can't talk to you right now. I've been able to put people in place that can do that. So I think, to talk about like how far you have, what you have done, it's, it's kind of like, what do you call it? It continues to pay forward, because people see the success that I've had in doing this, and they're like, okay, tell me what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I have a best friend from high school. She and I hadn't talked for a while, but then she starts seeing me do all this stuff, and she goes, okay, what are you doing? I want to do it. I want to help in any way I can. And no, you people, don't work with friends and family, but blah, blah, blah. But you lay down the law first. You're like, this is the contract. These are the deals. I'm going to outline all the expectations. Anything that deviates outside of that, you go back to the contract. So I'm okay with working with people that are close to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I brought her on board, and she does everything covering Houston. So anything that comes, she does all the agent outreach. She makes all the calls. And so she's my acquisitions person.
Has she been doing well? Has she been
doing very well? She's been doing very well. And it's funny, she actually got, she's a great relationship builder. So she's helped to build some really good relationships in the Houston area. We have one deal under contract, and we're waiting for that to find a buyer. She actually just locked it up, and she did this alone. She's had a few that, get them under contract and then they fall through. So I'm teaching her also how to comp too, because I want her to have ownership of that entire area.
Right.
And in certain markets, I still hold on to. In Dallas, I have a brother-in-law who's an inspector. So anytime I need a property, go look at it, he goes and walks the property. You just have to rely on people, and rely on relationships, and be fair about it. People's time is valuable. So I've had to learn that I do need help. It's hard for me to ask for help. I'm one of those people who well, if I just do it myself, I can get it done faster.
Right.
But I also know that leads to burnout. And I've even some people who follow me on social media, whatever, they know my 15-year-old son has even come on board, and he's my buyer intake person. So
wow.
his job, he logs into my Facebook account and he goes and collects buyers in all the markets that I'm in. He puts them into, we use Podio, so he puts all my buyers into Podio. And he's gotten comfortable enough now to where he's emailing the buyers and saying, hey, just following up, saying give me what you're looking for. So he gets paid hourly doing that now. And talking about tax dollars, we're like, okay, he could do this, and now he can actually. We've set him up a custodial Roth IRA, so he has a retirement plan already going, because all you have to do is make income, and he has that set up because he's making income from my job, and because my LLC is paying him, it's a tax write-off for me to pay my son to set up his retirement account.
What is this? Like this is incredible. This is incredible. Like what a phenomenal way for all of this to be turning out. And you're blessing everybody. You're blessing your best friend from high school. You got your kid involved. You've got your family supporting you and championing you, and then all these people that you brought. Because I know I've seen how many people have come to the Astro program because of Brittany Berryman. Your name comes up a lot. They talk about you. They watch our challenge. They've seen you. They're inspired by you. They love the fact that there's an independent, African-American woman who is bossing out and crushing it out there, making waves and showing everybody that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what sex you are, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what you've come up against. It doesn't matter if you've born with anything, with nothing, if you come from a single parent household, whatever it is, you can do anything you want in life as long as you have the intention and the action to support that intention.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Mind you, this is it still hasn't been a year yet. So
it still hasn't been a year. And now, what does it look like for you monthly right now? What's your average month look like?
Average monthly is 30 to 50K a month. And it just, mind you, that's on top of what, and I don't want to say, I would leave my W-2. It's flexible. So, well, not really, but I make it work. So to be able to make that and have, a regular, 9 to 5 job, it's kind of icing on the cake. So we're able to do things like build our dream home. And
I was thinking about that because I got emotional when I got that message, and when we talk about it, it makes me cry, and so I'm gonna try not to cry on this.
We promise no crying.
No crying, but there's something for a guy in my position who has, thousands of people that I've been able to work with, and I get to I feel like you're my sister, and I've had this opportunity to be a part of your life, and I've had an opportunity to be a part of your guys' success. And then I get this message from you, and I broke down into tears because, I'm busy, and it's hard. My life gets hard for me sometimes. And I question sometimes, am I pushing myself too hard? Am I doing too much? Should I take something off my plate? Or, or sometimes I'll get just down, on my energy and what's happening in my life just because I'm overwhelmed. And then I get something like this, that you built your dream home.
Yes. So, this started, the thought, again, coming from a background of where you don't come from, a family that's, extremely wealthy, or you kind of start to develop a certain mindset, like, well, yeah, maybe I don't deserve this, maybe I don't deserve that. But my mindset isn't like that. Like, I've always had this, I go to sleep. My husband used to call it jackrabbiting. There's a book or like a little story about it where you're chasing jackrabbits, and just if you Google the jackrabbiting story, you look it up. But I used to go to sleep envisioning the home that I want to have. I used to like going to sleep, and like I knew exactly. I would see myself sitting there. It's kind of like meditate. I would see myself sitting in the living room. I could see the fireplace. I could see the kitchen behind me. I could see the space and the land and the open windows. And in October, this house comes on the market, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my dream home. This is the house. This is the house I want." And we put an offer in. It's in Texas, so we knew, we were like, "Well, okay, if nothing else, this is a house we're buying, moving back to Texas." Well, they needed a 8-month lease, but it was like all these things, and I was like, "Dang it, can't do it." Then I was like, "Hold on, wait, we can build better than that because we can do that now." That house, I think, is like on an acre, like 2,600 square feet. It's a good size house and good size land. And I was like, we actually have the ability now, something we haven't had before, to build exactly what we want. And so we started talking, and we bought 2.5 acres and started building. Just poured the foundation. They poured the foundation last week. I was out in Texas this past week. Actually, just flew back in today, and got to walk the land that we bought. They've cleared it out, and it's funny because I walked to a certain. It goes over a creek, and I see I'm going to build my bridge over the creek, and I go to a point and I see like these flags, and I'm thinking that's the survey where it stops. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much land. And so the guy, the guy on the tractor is clearing out the land, and I'm thanking him, and I'm like, so just to confirm, like this is where it stops, right? He goes, oh no, this is all yours, all the way out to the street, like back there. I'm like, that's all mine.
So good.
He goes, yeah, all that's yours. And I was like, and so it's just so phenomenal. I got to, picking at, and it's a custom home that we're building, like every detail.
How big? How many?
So it is 3,300 square feet.
Yes.
It is, we're gonna have like a little kind of movie room, game room type thing upstairs. The boys, our boys fight over the bathroom here in California every day. So they have their own bathrooms, and we don't have to deal with that anymore. But it's the home that I envisioned sitting in, and it is exactly, to what. Again, kudos to my husband. I'm out there by myself picking all these things. I'm like, I don't know the floor color, the cabinet color. What do you want me to do? What do you want? He goes, this is your dream home. I want you to be happy. I'm like, that's the kind of guy he is. So that's happening. Should be done in September, late September, early October, and we're just really excited. Very exciting things. So, and that, coming along with that was all of this whole journey of things go with it, right? Because you want protection. Like now that we own this home, it's like, okay, we have to protect it. So, and learning all this stuff, wholesaling and the Astro community and real estate investing is not just about real estate investing. Now we're going into like, okay, we've set up a trust for our family. We've set up certain things of protection, and making sure, okay, our home needs to be under the trust, and this needs to be set up this way, and just so many details.
Wealth management, wealth building.
Yes.
You're learning how to live like the 1%, and that not in a way that you were born there. You clawed your way there, and you were there, and now you're going to keep it.
Yes, absolutely. Not letting that go. And our kids, they'll experience this, and they get to see what it's like, and then they get to do it for their kids. And one of the coolest things, JP, my realtor, Jonathan, he knows we're building the home, and he goes, what if I take a Bible out, and before they pour the foundation, he goes, I can put the Bible in to the beams. And so he and my mother-in-law and my kid's godmom, they went out because I was in California, they went out to the land, and they put my mother-in-law's Bible from when she was young into the foundation. Before the foundation was poured, they put it into the beams, and they prayed over it. And the next day, the next morning, the foundation was poured over the Bible. So the Bible is in the foundation of our home, and so we're always standing on the Word of God. And I told John, I was like, this home is going to be in our family for I don't know how many years, but we could say to our grandkids and our great grandkids, hey, you're standing on the Word of God, and your great grandmother's Bible is right here. So um, we were able to do that, and all full circle. So it's been pretty cool. So we said no crying. It started. It started with this. It started with sitting and envisioning and meditating. I do the 6 phase meditation. I try to do it at least 3 times a week. My kids now do it, the 6 phase meditation. And if you think meditating isn't a thing, oh my gosh, it's changed our lives. Envisioning and just knowing, where you want to be and having that certainty about it. It's biblical and it's scientific. So when you get those two together, then it's like, why not? Um, so it's now coming into existence, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So
Brittany, you shine, Brittany. You shine. You are an incredible woman. You are an incredible inspiration. You are going to change the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of people behind you. What we do is important. What we do here is life changing for so many people. And as we bless ourselves, we bless others. And so, if there's anybody out there right now if you are hopeless, if you are desperate, if you are wondering, if you are alone, if you are questioning, if you are here for a reason. There's something that
absolutely.
you could tell them, Brittany. What would it be?
So many things. There's no hindrance. There's nothing in your way but yourself. I like my husband and I. We have this thing about rhinos. So many things, like you'll find rhinos around our house, and it's because of what the rhino represents. A rhinoceros, when it gets its eyes locked on a focus, when it sees something that it focuses on and that it wants, it literally, everything else around it it's blinded by everything else. So if it says, okay, I'm going after that animal right there, it cannot see anything else in its peripherals. It charges 100% towards that thing that it's going after. It tramples over anything in its way, and it physically cannot take its focus off of the thing that it's going after. That is something actual about a rhinoceros. So we have rhinoceroses around our house. And so get that rhinoceros vision. Like, if you want something bad enough, charge at it 100%. There's going to be things in your way. There's going to be things in your peripherals. You have to completely block them out. They're distractions. So if you know what you want, you first have to know what you want. You have to know why. And once you have those two things, don't let anything stop you. So
Brittany, I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being in my family. Thank you for blessing us with the time today. You're an incredible human being. And if people want to get a hold of you and they want to work with you, how would they do that?
Best way is to DM me. I'm very, very active in checking my DMs on Instagram. I am OO_she lifts on Instagram.
OH_she lifts. And does she ever lift, guys? OO_she lifts. Brittany Berryman on Instagram, guys. Give her a follow, send her a DM, do work with her because she's incredible. And so many people have reached out. So many people are getting an opportunity to work with you guys. Do not sleep on this. Do not sleep on an opportunity. She gave you a way to reach out. OO_she lifts on IG. Anything else?
Thank you for this opportunity. Before getting into this, I've always wanted to see more women in podcasts and speaking in this industry, because you don't see it a lot. It just is what it is. But I'm just so grateful that you are allowing me to be here. I'm grateful to just be in this community, be in this circle. I'm honored anytime someone does reach out to me for help. I don't know all the answers, but I try to give all the answers. I'll point you the right way. And I'm just, thankful to God for everything. So there you go.
Thank you, guys. This was an incredible episode of To the Moon, one of the longest ones we've ever had. And honestly, I don't want it to end, but at some point it needs to. Brittany, we love you, and we will see the rest of you on the moon.
All right, love you.